welcome to Writers Blockbusters, the show where we treat the final edit of the movie like the script. I'm one of your hosts, Bob Rose, at Thundergrunt Bob on Instagram, and right now Jamie's going to introduce himself.
Hey, I'm Jamie Nash. I am the screenwriter and the writer of Save the Cat Writes Horror, Save the Cat Writes for TV, and the Save the Cat Beat Sheet Workbook. Buy all three today.
Okay, Jimmy?
I am Jimmy George. I'm a screenwriter and script consultant, and you could find me now frequently at scriptbutcher.com as opposed to the social media.
Awesome. Okay, so today we're doing something that was, I'm going to take the blame. It was my suggestion because I felt that it could no longer be ignored.
Yeah.
We have Blockbuster in our title, and as we've discussed in the past year, the Blockbuster is not healthy. It's not in a healthy place. So we had to talk about, today we're going to talk about the anti-electric state, Avatar 2009. Okay. We're specifically talking about the theatrical cut. Just so anyone that is listening, if you're like, but hey, they did this. We didn't watch that. That's not the one we went for. Before we get into the talking points, we're going to go around and just say anything personal we want to say about the movie. Let's start with Jimmy on this one.
Okay, so for this podcast is only the second time I've seen Avatar. So I watched it.
Same.
Wow. What does that say? Okay. So I watched it day one in 2009. And I remember vividly being blown away by the 3D. And I'm someone who the 3D actually I'm one of those people that 3D gives me a headache. So I walked out of the movie and I did have a headache. So maybe that's one of the reasons I never wanted to watch it again. But I remember thinking at that time, I think my friend said it to me who came with me. He was like, this is what I thought the Phantom Menace was going to look like. With the evolution of CGI being just quote unquote game changing in this way. And so I watched it for the first time in 16 years. And
2009. So
yeah. So it's a well done movie. It's a great movie. I enjoyed it. I don't love it. And the one thing that struck me was it feels so different than watching a Marvel movie, because now the only movies we get like this, besides The Electric State, that's a good example. The only movies that we get that are this big, right, with this much sci-fi fantasy, this big, are basically Marvel or DC movies now. And with the exception of the James Gunn movies, they feel very the visuals don't feel like they're given such care, and I felt like every frame of this movie is just beautiful to behold, even now 16 years later. And I wasn't anticipating walking away being like, man, it kind of gained an extra star for me from the technical side of things, just because it felt like there's so much care. And also even though I keep using James Gunn because I just think he makes more unique, big blockbuster comic book movies than the other ones. The other ones kind of blend together, right? But what I really was struck by, since I hadn't seen something this big in 16 years that wasn't Marvel or DC, is the sincerity. There's no ironic detachment. And boy, what a breath of fresh air it was to watch something this fucking big that isn't looking at you and winking and being like, you're watching a big movie. Isn't it fun? Every time something emotional happens, no one makes a joke. I was just like, wow.
Probably were cut out.
Fuck, I wish that we got more movies that didn't make a joke about the emotions happening on screen in front of us. Everything's Daria now. So that I feel like I probably liked it more and appreciated it more now, where our culture is, where our blockbuster movie is, than I did then. But overall, I think it's a good movie. I don't have much to say. It's not I wouldn't put it in any of my top lists of all time or anything like that, but I can appreciate the technical achievement, and yeah, I appreciated it for those things, the lack of ironic detachment that we have now in every big budget movie.
Cool. Jamie?
How soon we forget Dune. How soon we forget Dune.
I was thinking the same thing.
Well, Dune
We
is
did it on the show too.
Dune is the polar opposite. It's like serious to like just like, oh god.
Dune
No
makes
levity.
Dune makes Avatar look funny.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, as you said that though, like, nobody's really allowed to make a big movie anymore. Like, there's nobody. Nolan probably could get away with it. Like if he came up with a big sci-fi, like the Odyssey.
Sci-fi fantasy,
the Odyssey's got to cost as much as this, right?
Yeah. So Nolan is in that camp. I mean, Dune is in that camp, I guess, but
it totally is. I missed
it's
the boat
it's
there.
the property tied to the thing. It's IP kind of thing.
Shit,
I know
Wicked probably cost as much as some of this stuff.
Wicked probably does too. It's kind of like, I don't know. Wicked feels like more like a sequel or something, though, in some ways. Or I know it's not really, but feels like a retreat.
I get what you mean.
But while Dune is based on a book and is a remake, I don't know. Like that one also feels like it's a director tied to a material they always wanted to get through, whereas the Odyssey, nobody's like, we got to make the Odyssey one day. It's like, everybody's dying for the new Odyssey take.
With this, it's completely 100% new.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. Like the originality part. Like, does anybody have the power to do an original thing like this anymore? And probably not. I mean, Nolan, I think would. I think that's why I'm comparing the Odyssey, because I think the Odyssey is like doing something, even though it's. It's just not IP anybody cares about.
If anyone can do it, it's the biggest winner in the history of cinema.
The
one man. Cue the South Park song.
Is there any other director that's powerful enough to say, I'm doing an original science fiction?
He's hit $1 billion 4 times.
Yeah.
It's unfucking believable.
Personally, I'm kind of where you are, Jimmy. I saw this in the theater. I don't really remember. I think I saw it at a press screening, one of those press screenings.
I was probably there.
Bob was probably there. He was usually there. And I probably saw it a couple weeks in advance and was very excited to see it. It was a solid movie for me when I saw it. I was like, yeah, that's a good movie. Maybe back in 2009, it fit on my top 50 movies of the 2000s. But now it doesn't. Now it doesn't.
There was another decade after that.
Yeah. It probably got bumped. And like you guys, for some reason, I do think I've seen this movie more than 2 times because I kind of know it. Maybe I analyzed it for like a beat sheet or something. Yep. I just feel like I've watched this movie a couple times because there really wasn't a lot that surprised me on the rewatch. But honestly, I don't feel like I have. I feel like maybe I saw it twice in the theater because I wanted to see the 3D again. And then maybe I saw it a couple times after that. But yeah, my feelings are very much like you. I think it's a solid movie. I think it's original. It almost feels, in a weird sort of way watching it, feels nostalgic. And I think that's what you were getting at. Like it's like some classic movie or something.
Just because of the sincerity behind it.
Yeah. And just like, there was a time when screenwriters and writers like wanted to create new worlds and honestly, James Cameron, he talks about it a lot, how he saw Star Wars and was like mad because George Lucas beat him to what he already wanted to do. And this movie feels like he finally got to fulfill his dream of doing the thing he always wanted to do, which was make a Star Wars like movie and universe and create the aliens from the ground up and the universe from the ground up. So in some ways, this is his like childhood dream come true. And we used to all have that dream. I almost tell people it's a bad idea to have that dream now, like to be a professional screenwriter. I mean, maybe go write a novel.
To all our listeners out there who their sole purpose of listening to this is to do that. Jamie's like, just turn it off.
I mean, I've said on this show before, get another talent that you enjoy. Because
not saying to be a screenwriter, but to choose a world building, epic 300-page screenplay maybe you should be a novel writer if you do that, or at least first and try
write
that.
a movie where two people are in a room talking.
Yeah.
Start there and then go to the world building.
And we've said it many times, including our Terminator podcast, that the way to do this kind of movie now is big world, small window. So you do the locked room version of this or something like that. They're on a single spaceship or something.
Somebody look out there, they're flying around.
Well, I'm still gonna argue this is big world, small window, but we'll get there.
Yeah,
it is sort of. I'll give you that, with the exception of then getting to the big battle scenes and stuff in the end and explosion. It gets pretty explodey. But yeah, I mean, so that's where I am. That's where I am with it.
Okay. Well, I'm same as you guys. Saw it in 2009. It's fine, and I haven't watched it until right now. I don't love it. I don't hate it. If I looked at everything James Cameron has directed, and honestly, because I like The Way of Water better than this one, I think this is my least favorite James Cameron movie. But the bar's pretty high.
Yes.
So it's not like I'm insulted. I'd rather watch Piranha 2 than this movie. Like that's more my speed than like this. But I like this movie. There's two things I wanted to say about it. One is, since this isn't really a script thing, or this isn't a grievance that people had, because this movie, as we said, has taken so much crap. This franchise has taken so much crap. But one of the things about this movie specifically, not the sequels, that took so much crap, that pissed me off so bad back in the day, 2 decades ago now, right, was unobtainium. The amount of smartasses that thought they were clever by shitting on his use of the word unobtainium pissed me off so vehemently back in 2009. So, since this is a show that I'm on, I'm going to read something real quick. This is from Wikipedia on unobtainium, which I read back in 2009. Since the late 1950s, aerospace engineers have used the term unobtainium when referring to unusual or costly materials, or when theoretically considering a material perfect for their needs in all respects, except that it does not exist. That is literally listed in the Interim Glossary Aerospace Terms as compiled by Woodford Heflin and published in February 1958. Okay? I'm just saying, like, I don't care. I'm yelling at the internet from like 2 decades ago.
I didn't
angers the shit out of me.
I didn't know that, but my assumption always was, and especially when I watched it this time, was like it was a name like Giovanni Ribisi gave. He was allowed to coin the thing, so he just made up a silly, ironic name for it or something. That was my assumption.
It's also used in the movie The Core. Remember The Core?
Yeah,
they used it in there too.
We'll be doing that one on the podcast.
Yeah. Well, big movie. We'll do The Core too, right?
That and those Journey movies, those 3D Journey movies.
3D Journey movies, right? Anyway, I had to get that off my chest because it is that was the criticism about this movie that angered me the most back in the day. Everyone's like, "What a stupid name for shit!" And it was like, "No, he got it from a real thing, actual science." Okay. And I want to say that if it wasn't for the last thing I'll say, the reason I like this movie, it's some of the stuff Jimmy said, some of the stuff Jamie said, but honestly, if it wasn't for Stephen Lang as General Quaritch, I would be completely checked out. If by far his performance and everything is what keeps me in this movie. I've only watched it 1 or 2.5 times or whatever, but he is literally the thing I think that keeps me hooked, because
he makes a lot out of that role.
We're a screenwriting podcast, but when it comes to performance, I'm not the biggest fan of what's his name, Sam
Worthington. Yeah,
not his biggest fan.
Yeah.
As a performer,
I am. I love him.
Yeah, Jamie loves him. He's got a tattoo. I mean, yeah, right. I mean, it's a good cast. I mean, you got Sigourney Weaver, you got JP from Grandma's Boy.
Grandma's Boy reference.
Yeah, JP, man, he's in there, right?
So I'm gonna give a hot take right here, right now. I think Sigourney Weaver's kind of bad in the beginning of this. There's something stiff, and I'm not sure if what it is exactly. Like
It's the character, man.
It's the character. Like in the beginning of the movie, she grows on me as the movie goes on. Like maybe they filmed those early scenes early, but in those early scenes, it almost reminds me of like what people say about George Lucas's dialogue. Like who could make this dialogue work? And that I almost feel like that's what she's doing. Like she's not really sure how to be that character.
Well,
or something.
It's like it felt to me, and this is not what this podcast is. It felt to me
we're still in the beginning.
Like they were like they were having a conversation. Like everybody knows you played Jane Goodall,
right?
And so right off the bat, we need to shake that off of their minds. So you need to up the attitude and make it clear over the top that this is not Jane Goodall, that this is something different, but it really isn't.
the whole beginning is so fast paced and abbreviated too, which I'm about to praise in a couple minutes, but it's so fast paced that it almost reminds me of like the Terminator 3D ride in Universal, where there's a little bit of like boom, 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 and they have to say the witty thing and move to the next thing, and then say the thing and move to the next thing. Like, who are you bringing me? This guy, kind of thing. And they have to do these things really quick, and then they just move on. They get like one line to sell like a whole idea, and then they move on. And
I'll save it for that section you've created, Jamie.
I guess that's sort of, Jamie, you're helping like what I was trying to say, sort of like there isn't really a lot of room for the actors to chew the scenery in this movie.
Yep.
And and that's kind of the stuff that I love about movies. And the only guy doing it in this movie is Stephen Lang. And if you removed his performance from this movie, I would have not even suggested we do it, because I don't know if I could make it through this movie without him. Also, before we started recording, the last thing I want to say is me and Jamie remarked on this. I hate the way the aliens look. I find them
the design.
I
find them disturbing and annoying to look at.
I almost put this down because I said
it is kind of character creation.
Even said it because I was like, what is the premise here? What's the real premise hook? This is kind of more screenwriting thing. Like in my head, because this movie apparently is loved, right? It's made more money than this franchise is like the biggest franchise ever next to Marvel, I think, and it only has 3 movies. But what is the premise? Like it's the blue aliens, right? And the cool glowing jungle planet.
I mean,
that's kind of like
that's the sell. That's the
sell. That's what they're selling, right?
We're not talking. If you don't talk about the story, what is the reason people have gone to the theater? It's that.
I mean, there's a part of me that tries to rationalize it. Like if I was pitching this movie back in 2009, the hook would have been more the Avatar. It's like a guy with legs gets a chance to run again. And that doesn't land with me too much in this movie. It's kind of like an excuse. Yeah. We got him. He's blue now. It's kind of in there, but I guess heartstrings wise, it doesn't land.
I think they were selling. I mean, if we watch the trailer, we could probably like highlight it in the trailer. But I think they were really selling the coolness of
being
able to pilot an alien body with your mind.
And then, so to me, like the aliens are just humans, but bigger and stronger.
Yeah.
In some ways. And
I really want to say too, I don't mind it's their faces.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with them being blue or tall or huge.
Yeah. They're not super cool. Like
looking at their faces for like 3 hours, I'm just like,
I had no idea we were gonna go here. It's so funny.
Well, we're not talking about the script really. I'm just saying I can't take how the faces look.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I was trying to analyze like what this franchise is selling me and why I'm not that interested in the franchise so much.
I hate how they look.
And part of it is I just don't care much about how they look. I don't care much about the dragons and the plants it just doesn't do it for me. I don't care about plants.
It's
and dragons.
Gorgeous.
Glow in the
all
dark.
Beautifully realized.
He doesn't care about plants.
I don't care about glow in the dark fauna.
I love that stuff, man.
The mech robots.
It doesn't do it for me.
I like the mech robots.
Dude, Pandora vibes.
Everything to do with General Quaritch. He's the best performance. He's in a mech robot. he's in actual scenes with human beings. You know
Yeah,
what I
no,
mean?
ever pretty
It's-
much almost until the finale, all his scenes, he's with other human beings.
He's in a real movie as
Yeah.
opposed to whatever Avatar you consider that is. But
I wonder, did they still do the real movie part? Like when they
Yeah,
filmed?
yeah,
They do. I don't even know.
those
what
are
they do.
actual set. The lab is an actual set.
Okay, I'm not sure. Like, no, I know it was back then, but in like the newer movies,
Oh, I don't know.
has he just given up and like
Just
everybody's
everything.
digital? Like Sigourney
Yeah.
Weaver's digital now. I mean, she's not in it in that way anymore. She's but yeah, I don't know. It's a weird movie. Like, I just went to Epic Universe. I just went there. I love theme parks. I like checking out the new theme parks. I care less about the Avatar park. I don't want to see a
I
bunch
didn't
of
even know that
plants.
existed.
Yeah, they have like a fly through ride. You fly through the world of Pandora and see the beautiful glowing trees and plants and creatures fly by. And it's like that flight ride, except it's Pandora. And I just don't care. I'm
It's
just
not
like,
for Jamie.
I just don't care about the plants.
So I think it's also because maybe Jamie, sometimes, or all three of us really, we share some taste in that, and the Na'vi are wholly, as characters in a movie, understand when I say this, not that interesting. They're sort of just,
they're sort of stand-ins for Native American.
That's the problem.
I don't want to say. I'm not saying anything negative.
We're
about
not
that.
talking about that, but yeah.
No, but as like characters in a movie, none of them have personalities that are exactly gripping. Jake Sully's not exactly gripping. Nobody's that gripping except
what I mean by
you guys keep
stand-ins.
setting up later talking points I put on here. It's great. It's great.
What I mean by those stand-ins for Native Americans, there's nothing like, and this is fine. Like, this is fine. This is the new skin thing we'll talk about later on an old premise. There's just nothing like, wow, I've never seen that before about them, because they're so rooted in that tradition in some ways, like bows and arrows and their religion in some ways.
Your mind can't get away from it, for sure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have. I don't want it to turn into the thing that Jimmy, you were saying you didn't want it to be, insincere.
Yes.
But you can have sincerity and you can have quirky characters.
Yes.
That aren't like joke machines. When I'm not looking for Deadpool.
Yeah.
Right.
But like, why is JP from Grandma's Boy in this movie, and he's not more interesting?
Yeah.
He has nothing to do.
And you're setting up another later.
Right. Okay. We'll stop. We'll
You
get it.
guys are all talking to talking points.
I didn't even. I'm not even. I was just talking too.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, last example. You guys have seen Braveheart, right?
Yeah.
Remember the guy that wasn't right in the head? It's like Irish or Scottish.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
That character is really interesting and usually a fan
Mel
favorite.
Gibson. No, just
no, not him. No, the guy.
I thought you meant the actor,
the creator of it. Yeah,
I thought you meant the actor.
No, the character who tells William Wallace that the Lord's going to get me through this, but you're fucked.
Right. Yeah. No,
that character.
Yeah,
that's great. There's nothing like that in this movie. There's no quirkiness. None of the Na'vi. There's no quirky Na'vi.
Afraid to ruffle
any feather,
to be to upset any cultures, so therefore it just plays it so straight.
Maybe I don't know why. I'm just saying there
characters in that. Yeah, I agree.
They're all the Na'vi are deadly serious about their entire culture, which is great. But it's like there's no personality. Like maybe that's the point, because they're all one. They're all connected with the.
Yeah, that's
the point.
I put that on later too. So.
They're not individualistic American wisecrackers.
Well, I think
the asshole who's drinking at Moe's.
Yeah, right.
I think the TV show Pluribus is going to end up being a sequel to this eventually. We're going to find out.
Okay. Wow.
Have you ever seen that show?
I saw the pilot and I haven't seen it.
Before we get into our talking points, let's talk about box office.
Yes.
What
did
this actually make at the box office, Jamie?
Yes, it made worldwide $2,923,710,000. I can barely say this; it's too big a number, but almost $3 billion worldwide.
Wow,
that's insanity.
This movie.
So anything we say bad about it, it's like,
who cares?
How much of that is
we're wrong
Foreign.
Yeah, international is much bigger.
Yeah.
So it's 2 billion in international,
See?
785 million domestic.
I think that's one of the reasons when people have this, because there's happening right now, this franchise has no cultural relevancy. It's Americans saying that.
Yeah, because we're the villains in the movie, of course.
Well, well, that, I mean, I'm talking about pop culture relevancy. Like people, fandoms of it. I don't think they're in America. I think it's more around the world.
Yeah, people in Turkey love glowing plants. That's
maybe I have
my takeaway.
We probably have one Turkish listener. You should.
Sure. Let us know if you're listening to the show and you're like an Avatar super fan. Please,
they love
I would love to hear about
flying jellyfish or their thing.
Yeah,
that's their thing.
Mind you, we don't hate it. Just tell us why you love it.
No.
Yeah.
So okay,
you know, the other franchise that compared to this for me is Fast and the Furious. Like, I don't quite get that, but
I love that.
It makes tons of money everywhere, but I don't quite get it. Again,
I've never forced that on you guys.
Yeah.
I haven't seen past the second one, and I did like the second one.
Other movies in 2009, this is the domestic thing, okay? And what's interesting about this, it's split Avatar, so it's actually fifth because it came out in December, so it doesn't have the full domestic money. But other movies that came out, number 1 was Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. Number 2 was Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Number 3 was Up. Number 4 was Twilight, New Moon, the Twilight Saga. Number 5 was Avatar. Number 6 was The Hangover. Number 7, Star Trek. Number 8, Monsters vs. Aliens. Number 9, Ice Age: Dawn of the Dinosaurs. Number 10, The Blind Side. Anyway, kind of a weirdly forgettable year for me personally. To me, The Hangover stands out.
Comedy in the top 10. Who'd have thunk it?
Yep. Up, of course.
At the time, that was the biggest rated R movie ever, right?
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, but like Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen doesn't really stand out to me.
The worst Transformers.
Another Harry Potter movie, which I get.
Right.
You know, it's kind of it's fine. It's a fine year. It's a fine year, but number 16 on this is G.I. Joe: Rise of the Rise of Cobra.
Hell yeah!
Oh, number 15. I'd be remiss is Fast and the Furious, the first one.
Hell yeah! Which is, by the way, a reskin of Point Break.
Exactly.
Yes.
Which will be relevant later.
Yes.
Right. It's almost like beat for beat Point Break.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And who wrote this?
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah, who wrote this shit?
James Cameron wrote it. Just quickly on the development, he wrote it like in the 90s, early 90s. It was a thing called Project 880. And Project 880, he wrote a scriptment. We've talked about scriptments before. It's kind of a thing he specifically did. I've heard other writers do similar things. Where honestly it's hard to wrap your head around because they're like 100-page treatments. But he calls them scriptments.
I do scriptments, like 4-page versions of the script.
And it feels like to me it's just kind of an iteration of a script. Like it's the first with less dialogue, less care about how pretty the prose lie out in the page, less care about like the actual.
He has a Spider-Man scriptment out there.
It is out there.
Yeah.
It is out there. His idea is it's a treatment with dialogue, with dialogue peppered in, but it's such a damn long treatment. Like it's almost to the point, like, why not just write the script? This is longer than most scripts, So I just feel like it's his way of doing a first draft. Like he doesn't have to worry about screenplay format as much. He just keeps writing and building it out until he has the story all in place. Because honestly, when he writes the script, there's probably a lot of editing down in some ways of like all that words. It's probably a weird thing he goes through where he adds dialogue but removes prose. And to
Jamie,
get to where the script
I don't know if you have on your list of this who wrote this shit information, but like I actually remember in 1999 specifically, I used to read this website that I can't find anymore called the Stax Report. Did you ever read this?
I vaguely remember it.
So the Stax Report was like Script Shadow, but a lot nicer and a lot like
Mhm.
It wasn't mean spirited. And the Stax Report was an anonymous Hollywood reader
Okay.
who would review scripts for the movies before they came out. So I remember reading the review for the Gladiator script before Gladiator was in theaters, and I regretted it because I like knew everything that was going to happen. Like when it was on the screen, I was like, "Holy shit, this guy really does have the scripts like a year in advance." So
was he not supposed to?
No,
it was secret. He never put his name
yeah,
out there.
these are guys like they get shopped
So,
around, and he's in
yeah.
the industry, and they get scripts get passed around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this was 1999, and he did an end of year every year, top 10 scripts in Hollywood that haven't been made. And this landed on 1999, and I remember it was called Avatar. And it described the movie like exactly. And he was saying in 1999 that James Cameron had written this script that was going around Hollywood, but that it was too big and like the technology wasn't there to make it. And just forever, when this came around in 2009, I was like, dude, this dude has been trying to make this movie for 10 years.
Well, you know, there were two movies around that time that he was trying to make, and one was Battle Angel Alita or whatever that was.
Okay.
And they were both like neck and neck as his next movie, but they were too big and stuff like that. And sometimes it felt like Battle Angel Alita. Is that the right title?
Alita
that was
Battle Angel. Yeah.
Yeah, that was going to be the next one. And sometimes it felt like this one was. And then Spider-Man came into the mix and things like that. But eventually he gave up on the one and stuck with this one.
Well, Rodriguez did the other one.
Yeah.
What they said about what I've read about this, when it was Project 880, was, and I don't know if like Project 880 was like the name of obtaining unobtainium or what, I don't, or if it was like his like silly title, like this Project 880, like I have another 879 projects. This is, you know, he's kind of being ironic or something. But it's said that it had, which I'll talk about in a minute, it actually had an Earth component. Like it had the before picture. Before he ended up going to Pandora, there was, and it had a lot more about the state of Earth, like the politics of Earth, the kind of dystopian environment, how like the lack of environmental awareness had kind of destroyed things like that. It had a lot of that stuff in it before they flew out to Pandora. I'm not even sure if it was called.
And all
Pandora
that became a line of dialogue or something now.
There's no green there is all you need.
Exactly. Yep.
You know, can I say I'm surprised that, I don't know how different it was, but as a script, it being on that list is actually surprising to me. Like I don't know. It's not as captivating as the one thing. The one thing I'll say is, and this is, I kind of, when I watch this movie and think about this, I kind of mourn for a time when writing scripts like this were actually the ones that were the hot scripts. There was a time in the 90s where you could spec a script like this and it would be like, that's the best script I ever read. That's the movie that should be made. And nowadays, if you write a script like this, nobody reads it. They hate that. You know, that was the thing I was saying earlier in our conversation. It's like dead on arrival. It's just like, no, we're not doing that.
Because of the budget.
Because of the budget. It's not IP. We're just not doing it. But man, when I first got in the industry, it was a normal thing to write a script like this. And like, oh, this guy just wrote the next Star Wars or something, you know, and that was normal. Like it was something that was encouraged and could earn you like spec script sales of, you know, $1 million or $3 million or something like that. And
dude,
now
give me 6 Jupiter Ascendings, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously.
Exactly.
Well, back when this came out, they were looking for the next Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Right? That's what they were probably looking for.
I think they were digging in all the old books and they realized there's no really great books to adapt or something like that of the fantasy, which probably people are like, what are you talking about? But I think there's just none that bubbled up. This is what I mean. None that had that fan base like Lord of the Rings did, you know, none that everybody
they tried.
Everybody knows.
Yeah,
they tried. Narnia was probably the closest.
That was the closest. But like the Golden Compass and
The Golden
The
Compass,
Spiderwick
yeah.
Chronicles, the Bridge to Terabithia.
All
They
those,
tried to
all those.
reskin Pitch Black into this.
I love that movie.
I do too.
Love it.
And still,
Chronicles of Riddick specifically.
Yeah.
as a D&D nerd, like I'm still waiting for my Elric movie, which will probably never happen. So there's a lot of D&D kind of stuff that still seems like low hanging fruit if they ever get around to it. The Dragonlance books or something like that. There's just so much, but yeah.
Okay. Genre evolution. Premise
Yes.
with a new skin, new paint. We've already mentioned it like 3 times.
Next question. No.
Jamie,
Yeah.
set it up, and then we're gonna play a game we've played before.
Yeah. So the idea here is that nothing is new in some ways. Like a lot of times you can take an old story from even a different genre and then just reskin it into a new genre. It's funny, I have a slide in one of my lectures and it just lists a bunch of, I think I've shown it to you guys.
It's his secret sauce. I've only seen a glimpse of it.
Yeah. And in my lecture, I'm always
I
like,
think about it all the time, Jamie.
I
I'm like,
dream about it.
I'm like, what do all these projects have in common?
Salivating.
And yeah, and it's like Bug's Life is on there, and Lion King is on there, and Raiders of the Lost Ark is on there. There's all these different movies, and I'm like, what do these have in common? And then everybody takes a guess, and nobody knows what the heck I'm talking about. And then I flip to the next screen, and I say they're all ripoffs. And then I list they're only things that were like stated ripoffs by the creators. Like this movie is not a stated ripoff. I've never heard James Cameron say I was doing Ferngully or something like that.
He would never admit something like that.
But all like Lucas said, I'm doing James Bond as an archaeologist. That's what he's doing. That's what he said.
I'm doing Akira Kurosawa in space.
Yeah, he said those things. And all those other things, Hamlet as a lion or whatever. Magnificent Seven with bugs, things like that. These were all Magnificent Seven with,
Little Monsters Inc.
Same movie. The Seven Samurai as cowboys. So anyway, I list on that slide. I have a list of like 16 different things and I very carefully only chose things that the creators said were ripoffs. So that's what this is. It's basically taking an old story, moving it into a new genre, putting new decorations around it, putting new tropes around it, and then turning it into something completely different.
And it becomes fresh.
And it becomes
new.
fresh. Yep.
And so on the show, we've done this 4 times, but it's been like 2 years. So I wanted to bring it back and see, because I like quizzing Jamie and Bob. So like on the show, one that we did was John Wick with a Portland Culinary World skin is Pig.
Pig, right.
Yep. Passive John Wick. Okay, we'll do Die Hard first. All right. And these Die Hard examples I took from an article on Den of Geek by Tim George, not Jim George. Okay, Die Hard with a new skin premise. All right, I'm gonna quiz you. Wait, Die Hard at a boarding school.
Small Soldiers.
Toy Soldiers.
Toy Soldiers.
Yeah.
Die Hard on a mountain.
Cliffhanger.
Yes. Die Hard in Alcatraz.
The Rock.
Which we've done on the show. Die Hard on a commercial air flight.
A commercial air flight.
57?
Yes, Passenger 57. All right.
I was going to go the president, whatever.
Die Hard on the president's plane. Yeah.
Air Force One.
Yes.
Air Force One, yeah.
Die Hard at the White House.
Olympus Has Fallen, or whatever.
Yeah,
or the other one that was just
There's
like
2 of them, right?
Yeah. Then Die Hard on a bus, Bob.
Speed.
Yeah,
Speed.
there you go.
By the way,
Cruise Control.
By the way, I pitched my agent Die Hard in the White House. And I pitched him, I always give my agent a hard time and say he doesn't know what he's talking about. I pitched him 10 things, and one of them was Die Hard at the White House. And he said, Die Hard at the White House, write that one. And I was like, nah, that kind of sounds like it sucks. And then like 2 years later, 2 Die Hard at the White House scripts sold. 2 of them, like in the same week. And I always give him a hard time, like, yeah, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
All right,
I did 5 other things. Anyway.
We're going to do Jaws now. Okay. Now Jaws with the new skin. All right, ready to go. Jaws with space skin.
Alien.
Yes, literally pitched to the studio as Jaws in space.
Yes.
That was the pitch. Jaws with a found footage skin.
Open water.
Yeah, Jaws with a disaster movie skin.
Oh, I don't know what that one is.
With a disaster movie.
Is it that weird movie on Netflix?
Sharknado.
Oh, shit! I would have never gotten that.
There's another one like Sharks Under Paris on Netflix or something. That's where I thought you were going.
Jaws with a crocodile skin.
What's
Lake
that movie
Placid.
called?
Yeah, Jaws in the desert.
Oh man, what's it called?
Tremors.
Yep. Okay. All right, and then you could do multiple. All right, ready? Jaws with experimental ocean science skin and sci-fi skin.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
What's that called?
Deep,
I don't know.
Deep Blue Sea or
Deep Blue Sea.
Deep Blue Sea.
Okay.
Yes, you can do two skins. And then
Sharks on a plane.
And then we've talked about how and I'll do Alien too. Are you ready? Alien with a new skin. Okay, Alien with a serial killer skin. Pitch Black. Pitch Black.
Okay.
Vin Diesel is the serial killer.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Alien in an Earth jungle skin.
Predator.
Alien in a deep ocean setting.
Abyss.
Abyss.
No.
Yeah.
Does that count?
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Alien with haunted house skin.
Alien with haunted house skin. Poltergeist.
Event Horizon.
Scooby-Doo.
Oh, Event
They're
Horizon.
fighting ghost aliens.
Yeah, I gotcha. That makes sense.
Okay.
So and even the franchises do this, right? Like to change and change the franchise. Friday the 13th with space skin.
Jason in space.
Jason X. Hellraiser with space skin.
Oh, Hellraiser in space. I don't know what these
Hellraiser
movies are called.
Leprechaun with space skin.
Leprechaun in space.
That one is called Leprechaun in space.
In space, yeah.
Okay.
Machete in space.
Yeah.
Did they ever make that?
Batman. They did, I think. Or they did a trailer for it.
They did a trailer at the end of the second one.
Yeah. Batman with a serial killer skin.
Oh wow. Dexter.
Dexter, yeah.
No, the Batman. We did it.
The Batman.
Okay.
We did that. So my point is,
I'm surprised you didn't do Jurassic Park for Jaws.
Oh man, and Jurassic Park is like there's other movies that came before it too, like Westworld with dinosaurs.
Right.
Jurassic Park, same writer.
But you know what I mean? Like it could be both. Almost.
Yeah, that's true. But the point is,
one movie we did on the show, I don't think you're going to mention it, that I always say is a reskin, is Demolition Man.
What's it a reskin?
Well, Demolition Man was reskin Austin Powers.
Oh.
It's the same. It's the same plot. It's the same plot.
Mm-hmm.
They unfreeze them. Both
they
of
unfreeze the good guy to kill the bad guy.
That's hilarious.
Right.
They do.
Yeah.
They really do. Okay, so my point here is one of the chief complaints about this when it came out and ever since about Avatar is that it's just Dances with Wolves or Ferngully in space. And the thing is, so what? That's how the genre evolves. That's like an exercise that is valid. That is what everyone who makes a living in this industry does. Like, that's the job. That's the craft. That's how you do it. And that's how you should do it. Because I deal with a lot of writers who they actually are afraid to embrace what they know their thing is. So they'll be like, it's Jaws in space, right? And then they'll be like, so here's my script and here's my log line. It's really Jaws in space, but I don't want it to feel derivative. And they're just like completely afraid to just embrace this idea that they have, you know what I mean? Because they're afraid that they're going to be labeled as being a ripoff, and being derivative. But it's empowering to understand where you're getting your inspiration from, because then you can learn exactly what you're like using and putting new skin on it. And you could use your awareness of that to subvert it, right? As long as you're aware it's Jaws in space, and to make sure that your Chief Brody is different enough and fresh enough and specific enough to your new skin, then it's not going to feel derivative, So
I just want to be like something else.
Yeah. And that's okay.
We did on this podcast, we did Willow. Willow is literally almost a straight plagiarism of something else.
Like, imagine if they pitched to the studio, it's Jaws in space, and they shut it down because of that. Like, imagine, like, it would have been what we would have missed. So I encourage it. I use it personally. I want Jamie's slides. I don't have them.
If this tip doesn't improve your writing, at least let it improve your criticism.
Yeah.
It's not that. Yes, you're right. It is like those. It is Ferngully or Dances with Wolves. Who cares? It's not an actual criticism.
Yes.
It's like all you hear from this damn movie.
It's the point.
Yes.
Like,
yes. The point.
Because think about it like this. One thing that I didn't talk about in my personal section is, let's say you're 12 years old, right? With everything that's going on now, with the we're not going to get into politics, but
yeah, no, let's do that. Let's jump in. Let's jump in.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's say you're 12 years old, right? You have no awareness of Dances with Wolves. You have no awareness of Ferngully or anything that's like exploring those themes, right? But then you have Avatar that's like palatable to you as a 12-year-old, and it hides the medicine, the thematic medicine enough that your 12-year-old self is like illuminated, right? Like enlightened, like, holy shit, this is what's going on in my country right now. This is what's pissing off my parents and my neighbors. And it's just for that, the fact that it's a new iteration of it is valid. You know what I mean? Like, there's someone out there who doesn't know what Dances with Wolves is, but is getting out of Avatar people got out of Dances with Wolves. You know what I mean? So
when I was a kid and I saw Star Wars, like, there was a certain segment of the population that just said, it's just a Western in space. That's all it is. I think Siskel and Ebert kind of said that. And they, not that they poo-pooed it, but they said, yeah, it's Western in space, or something like that. And I was like, it never really resonated with me. I was like, I don't really say it. But,
or a samurai movie in space.
Right. But they said Western in space.
But then again, Westerns were always accused of being samurai movies.
And then, like, when I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark, like, my father's just said, oh, that's just like Lash LaRue or something like that. And I'm like, what the heck is that? I still haven't seen Lash LaRue. You know what I mean? But that's what they say.
At our age, obviously all three of us love Indiana Jones. But, you talk to a kid now, and you know what they love is The Mummy.
Yep.
That's their Indiana Jones, and that's only, like 20 years removed?
Mm-hmm.
And you can't say that Stephen Sommers didn't steal his love.
Right.
Of Indiana Jones.
Probably wear that on its sleeve too. Everybody.
So Indiana Jones was copying something. The Mummy's copying something. Something else.
It's how it evolves.
It's how it happens.
Bring it. It's same but different.
Right.
So anyway,
but not Stranger Things. That's original.
Yes, that has.
I've never
copied
before.
anything. Conformity Gate. Okay.
That's different.
Let's talk about Conformity Gate. Let's talk about
Conformity Gate.
I brought Venezuela and we're talking about Conformity Gate. That's not what this is.
Let's get into it.
Okay, next topic is character construction tool. Tensity.
Okay, all right. Jamie, since this is you introduced this to us, and this is another topic that it seems to us like we are talking this to death. We've only done this a few times on the show ever, which, like, when I go back and look to make sure we're not repeating ourselves. So Jamie, can you explain tensity, and then we'll go into Avatar?
Yeah. So tensity is something I don't know how I stumbled across it, but it was on this website. What is that website?
Theoretical.
That's what it is. I knew it was something like that.
But spelled like theater, like THEAR, theoretical.
And it was an article I found on this website, and you can go check it out. It's still up, at least last I checked. And the idea was that characters are kind of composed of two things, and those two things, there's a conflict, or there's something that they're opposing forces, and it's easier to say an example.
Opposing traits.
So the examples they give on the site, the first one they give is Marilyn Monroe. She's seductive innocence. Like that's
Mhm.
that's her tensity, and that's how you describe her. They talk about world building, mystical science. The two sides are Star Wars. There's the Force, and then there's science fiction. Magical mundane for Harry Potter is an example. And there's other things like characters is what we're going to talk about here. They list like Napoleon Dynamite as the audacious underdog. They lift Elle Woods is the clever ditz is kind of her thing, and then they do Star Wars. Luke is the humble hero. Leia's the commanding damsel.
That's perfect.
And Han is the reliable rogue. And some of ours that I brought up on the show before, superheroes. Batman, fearsome guardian. That's his two opposing forces.
Right.
Superman is an epic everyman.
Yes. That's my favorite one.
Yeah.
It is
and,
perfect.
And Wonder Woman's compassionate warrior.
Yes.
Is hers. So this gives you an idea. The idea is if you come up with these things for your characters, if you kind of think of this, like what is your character? Make sure they have some tensity. That's what gives them kind of their juice. That's what gives them their electricity. And it makes them more than just some flat, stock vanilla character is this tensity.
And then we started doing it. We went like 3 episodes in a row where we did it. And Beetlejuice, we did Beetlejuice. We found them all in like all the main cast of Beetlejuice. And it instantly makes you like aware, like this is why it feels so interesting, right? Like it's not just the aesthetic. Beetlejuice, charismatic creep. Adam and Barbara, friendly ghosts.
Right.
Lydia, sentimental cynic. Delia, tacky sophisticate. And in Logan, my favorite one we did in the we broke down all the characters in Logan, and they all had tensity. But my favorite one was a literal quote from the movie. Someone says about Charles Xavier, elderly Charles Xavier, a degenerative brain disease in the world's most dangerous brain. What a combo. I mean, that's tensity right there, right? That says it. So yeah, I thought that we could talk about how, what we've discovered as we've gone through this is that sometimes characters start with tensity, and as they arc, they lose the tensity. So like the example is like Will Hunting becomes boring by the end of the movie because he loses all of that stuff that made him interesting through his arc. But then this is why sequels are so difficult to execute, because characters generally arc away from tensity. And so you get to the second movie and they've already had their big growth journey. You know what I mean? So there's nothing
also one of the reasons that like superheroes can have so many sequels, because they often Superman should have more sequels. They have the same.
They have what Jamie describes in his TV book. They function like TV characters, a whiff of change, right, Jamie?
Right.
But they ultimately stay the same. It's probably
their
why
tensity remains.
Yeah, it's like why they have difficulty with Bond, right? Like, what do you do with Bond after 30 movies, right? But sometimes we've shown characters arc into tensity who were like one note. Like on the show we did Bumble in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. He started out as a fierce monster, and by the end of the story, he arcs into a gentle monster. So he becomes a complex character with opposing traits by the journey of the story. So there's not really a one size fits all, but I think what Jamie just explained about like Star Wars and all of these movies that he gave examples, that when they do have tensity, like it makes the movie memorable. It's like why you go back and rewatch those characters. And I wanted to go through the cast of Avatar and really see, maybe this speaks to why the movie doesn't have like a cultural impact here, right? Because like,
or why people claim it doesn't. I don't know.
That's more I'm like. What I mean is like James Cameron is like the king of iconic characters, right? Like,
right.
Sarah Connor, Kyle Reese. I mean, even though Ripley was created by somebody else, like his Ripley is probably more referenced than Alien Ripley. You know what I mean? Everything that
you'd be
she
safe
does.
to say Ripley's like in a top 5 or top 10 of cinematic characters of all
Yeah,
time.
and
right?
his handling of that character is
right, yeah,
right. His handling of her character's journey. So it's interesting to me that with all that craft on display and all the effort he went into the characters, that they don't really all have that. So I wanted to go down the list, and I did send this to Jamie and Bob ahead of time because it's a novel, but
I got it open.
The one example too that they give from Star Wars is Jar Jar. So there's all these good examples with tensity from Star Wars that I mentioned, and then Jar Jar doesn't have tensity. He's just the fool.
Right.
And
but he in one version he was supposed to have tensity.
Yeah,
because he was supposed to be a Sith Lord
right.
secretly.
And actually in the example,
listen to the Phantom Menace episode. One of our best.
In the example on that article, that's what it gives. It says Sith Jar Jar is the example of tensity Jar Jar.
Yeah.
But right now, and that's why Jar Jar, it concludes Jar Jar doesn't really work, is because it's just one thing. It's not. It's not interesting.
He's not like evil fool, important fool, or
exactly. There's just nothing to him. It's not like savior fool or something like that.
So let's go down the list and then we'll just talk about it a little. So I do think that two characters, and if I missed anything, guys, I mean, this is just me like watching it yesterday and today. So like if I missed anything or this is wrong, like correct me, please.
Before you get into it, I just want to say like this is one of the things I see most criticized about in the past 2-3 weeks with the sequel coming out. People constantly rag on this specific thing.
Really?
I can't remember anything about the characters, especially their names. Like I see so many people say I can't even tell you the name of somebody from these fucking movies. And I've seen all 90 hours,
Yeah. So Jake does start with tensity, right? Disabled warrior. Like that's clearly there, like a soldier with no battlefield. And the tension is about like what he was and what he wishes he could be, right? And here we got his opportunity, sort of, it speaks to that tensity, and that's what makes everything about his character interesting from the start. I mean, and then Neytiri, am I pronouncing her name right? I mean, that's part of the problem.
I think it's Neytiri. Yeah, I think
Neytiri. She is very much like what Jamie described for Wonder Woman. She's like a merciful warrior, like merciful killer. Like she could kill anybody she wants or anything she wants, but she chooses time and time again, especially with Jake, to be merciful and let them live, or to take mercy on them upon killing them.
Are you saying these are interesting tensities?
Yes, I'm saying these are the two that start with actual measurable tensity. I think that these are the only two characters. But I think they lose that tensity by the end of the story. Both of them.
I think Jake's gets washed away pretty quick.
Yes. He's there. Everything that made him interesting is in the past, right? Like it's
pretty much after he gets avatared.
Yeah.
And that whole sequence of him discovering his body, and it's like, forget all the intensity that he had prior. It's just gone.
Yeah, it goes away. And so, and I think that her as the merciful, what makes her interesting, goes away by the end of the story too. So we have these characters, the two characters that were tensity, they don't really have.
Neither of them are very interesting.
Right. So then I do think that that three of the characters do arc into some tensity, which is Grace, the Sigourney Weaver's character. She starts as a non-believer scientist. They make multiple scenes dramatizing this, like, I don't believe in hocus pocus, and she's talking about all the science stats, and I got to get samples. And then by the end, like, she's saying she's speaking to Awa as she's dying. She's like, I see her, I'm with her. She's real. And so it's clearly like the Raiders arc, right? Believer by the end, or the argued does Indy arc into believing. We don't really know. I
don't find it great though.
Yeah, because it's so like last second.
There's something about her character that just does not stand out to me. I don't know.
So it's interesting. So both of you, how do you feel about this one, Jamie?
I'm the same. I feel like she doesn't really stand out. She doesn't
Yeah.
stand out enough for me.
So that tensity is kind of a flat line for you anyway, even
Like
though it
on paper, you're right.
Yeah.
In
but you're not feeling
execution,
it. Yeah.
that whole scene is just, as far as I'm concerned, that scene is to set up the end cap that Jake is finally moving into his new body.
Yeah, it's
but
just
that scene. It doesn't have an emotional resonance for me.
Gotcha.
But I get it as far as functionally.
Yeah, that's what they were going for.
It's functional, but I don't like it.
And this one is the same. Like, I think that it's there, it's intentional, but the execution is just kind of like so like underplayed.
Oh yeah, this doesn't even exist.
Yeah, like Norm, the guy who's from
JP.
Grandma's Boy, like he
JP
starts out as a one note, right? He doesn't have tensity. He's just like an eager academic. What makes him interesting at the start, they kind of drop, which is he has a comic obsession with Pandora and everything. Pandora. And he's like the Pandora fanboy. And we get a couple scenes where he's like real excited. He's like, you don't know what the floating mountains are, and you don't know what this, and he's like real excited about it all. And then they sort of just lose that. Like
they probably like the stuff Jamie said, they edited him out.
Yeah. Apparently there was, because I think I said that before the podcast, there was 45 minutes more of this movie, and apparently what it was each of these characters, these side characters, had like full arcs.
So everything we're speaking to was explored more, probably.
Yes.
Okay, so they took out the growing pains, basically.
And there's a little bit more of that in the 8-minute director's cut or extended edition or whatever that is that's out there.
Gotcha.
But there's the original cut was 45 minutes longer than this with all that stuff in it.
Can I also say, complete coincidence, I watched Grandma's Boy right before I watched it.
It's been so long, man. I gotta see it again. But anyway, so what he arcs into is by the end, he's like a warrior nerd.
Yeah.
He's fighting with a machine gun. He's doing
so
battle
in the background. It's ridiculous.
So there is an effort for tensity there, but he starts not being tense is what I want to come back to at the end, is how many of these characters start as a flat. And then Trudy, the Michelle Rodriguez helicopter pilot, she also starts flat. She's like a very loyal traditional soldier through and through. And then by the end, we get this moment where she's like, I didn't sign up for this shit. And she helps, she breaks them out of jail. She's basically leading the charge to break them out so that they can save the community that's being raided. So
I know I'm giving you all the emotional play-by-play after you say it, but honestly, one of the better, more interesting moments for me.
Yes, you feel
sacrificing herself and her fighting and stuff is like, it gives it a little more life than the rest.
You feel that. So it does. That one lands. I feel like that one sticks the landing. So I don't really have critiques here. I'm more just like talking through why does
I'm giving the critiques,
these characters. All right, so now let's get into the villains, which I don't think they change. Like, I don't think they have tensity ever, and I don't think that they, even for as good as the performance is.
Yeah, no, I agree.
The Colonel is a one-note cartoon military zealot.
He's kind of a mustache twitcher.
Yeah.
Sister. Yeah.
And he stays that way.
It's his performance.
Yes.
At the beginning, I was saying his performance is what got me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Parker Selfridge, Giovanni Ribisi, he's just like corporate stooge. Through and through. He has that one moment. He's got 1 hour.
What if Paul Reiser from Aliens wasn't interesting?
Yeah, a charismatic manipulator, right? Like,
right.
Like charismatic Snake is basically Paul Reiser, and they're missing the charisma.
His like ending and it's like he just he leaves.
Yeah,
he's not going to get a comeuppance. Okay.
So I have a couple questions for you on this, and I gave you the sheet, so you know what I'm going to say. But it's like, is the flat villainy though? Is it thematic, right? Like, is it saying like this is what like capitalism and unchecked, the military industrial complex does dehumanize people, right? it does make
And
the so intentionally they want their people to be like this. Is that so? I'm saying, like, if they weren't like this, would that feel like inauthentic? I don't know. Like, is there something to that, from a writing standpoint?
Yeah, I think there could be an argument made for that.
Yeah.
You could say like
Yeah.
where he's the capitalistic imperialistic governments never learn and never stop.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to change ever. They want the same thing always.
Yeah.
General Quaritch, is he a cartoon, or have we learned he's actually more like real life?
Yeah.
Have we not learned that? Which is way scarier to be a cartoon with that kind of power and anger and skill and shit.
But
I don't know.
So it's like it's interesting because it's like maybe they needed to be that way, but at the same time, I do think because they have no tensity, they don't get remembered, right? And they don't make the lasting impact that
it's only through execution.
Who's dressing up on Halloween like the Colonel?
He looks like cartoonish with his
That's
hair
what I'm saying.
and everything.
He's constructed to be this guy.
He's like a 1980s villain.
He looks a little like Sergeant Rock or something.
Yeah, but then
do you remember he was campaigning to be Cable in Deadpool 2 really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my question, I said all this because I think it is speaking to why, from a writing standpoint, I think what you can learn here is like, if you don't do this tensity that we found in every character in Beetlejuice, in every character in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, in every character in Logan, I'm talking heroes, villains. Every character we broke down in Logan had tensity. Every character we had in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer had tensity. if you don't, and look, that movie has stood the test of time, right?
Right.
So I think there's value in recognizing, like, reliable rogue Han Solo, you remember him forever. Clever ditz Elle Woods, you remember her forever. Epic everyman, that tensity is at the core of why they people come back to them. So it's just interesting how this one doesn't really have it, and then really, the ones that have it lose it.
It's also like, you could argue that if you look at this movie, it's kind of the only thing missing.
Yeah,
James Cameron, one of the greatest directors ever, stellar cast. There's every other aspect of the movie is just like the best you can want.
Given the full effort of artistic effort. Yeah,
the script's missing this aspect.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah. Did you have more on that?
No, that was it. It was more just a discussion.
You're right. It says people do cosplay. They do. It does exist.
People cosplay it, but they don't reference the characters the way that. Yeah, I skipped all that. I wasn't going to read this verbatim, dude.
No, I think it's
read my blog post out loud.
But that's a really good point. Whenever you see Avatar cosplay, it's the person doing the cosplay as though they were from Pandora.
Yes.
It's not them as Neytiri or Jake or something. It's just I'm a Pandora alien. Yeah. I'm not a specific character.
Yes.
So,
and I think there's something to that in the construction and the writing. Yeah.
I mean, even I wish the aliens had more personal gear on them that would signify who they were.
Right.
That's not even there. It's really odd. It's really odd. Yeah.
The beasts have personal colors and stuff.
Yeah, they do.
They stand out, but the
trees do.
The trees do.
Yeah, Jamie loves how the bushes look different and stuff.
Yes.
All that grass.
Jamie said on mic, I don't care about plants.
There's so much foliage in this movie, and it's
who
all
cares
CGI.
How many trees have died for Save the Cat Writes Horror?
I'm gonna rank my top plant movies. Number 1, The Ruins. Number 2, The Happening. I don't know. That's as far as I go.
Number 2, Happening's only number 2. Okay. Okay. Exposition techniques.
Lord of the Rings, the Willow things, or whatever those guys are. Tree people, the Wizard of Oz. No.
How about Troll 2 with all the turning people into the plant goo?
Splinter. I don't know if Splinter was even that.
I don't even know what that is.
Isn't there a horror movie called
Swamp
Splinter?
Thing,
that's like a tree
Swamp
monster.
Thing, right?
Just lists.
Swamp Thing. That's a good one.
It's all Jamie just wants to list things for the rest of his life.
That's why I was excited to do that exercise.
It's just
I guess
listing movies.
Pig is kind of about plants, right? It's truffles.
Truffles.
Yeah, you're right. It is. Yeah. All right. Exposition techniques and ordinary world is upside down world.
Okay, so what struck me about this movie is something Jimmy talks about ad nauseum on this podcast. Yeah, it's something that's come up in a couple. You'll have to remind me on the couple episodes that it came up, but there are a lot of concepts that that the fun and games section, so the beginning of Act 2, is kind of a reorientation in the upside down world, right?
Welcome to the upside down world.
Welcome to the upside down is a big factor in a lot of movies, like The Matrix, for example. We end up in the upside down. We need to reorient ourselves. We need to get the lay of the land. Somebody has to do a lot of exposition in that. The Wizard of Oz, to an extent, is that. I can't remember which ones recently we did, but Back to the Future, to an extent, has
the
that.
Elf episode we just did.
Elf.
Yeah. Elf.
The Substance episode was the first one that we started doing this for, where there's 8 minutes where she's just in her new body and there's no plot.
Yeah.
She's just enjoying her new body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was something we've seen in a few things recently. This one, it makes another choice. And what's interesting is I just wrote a script that made this exact same choice. And then I got rewrite notes to do the other choice. Yeah. And I'm like, and I'm like, I don't think they realize what they want. Like, because the big thing was, like, this rewrite I did was to lose 26 pages of script. Whoa. So the way I did it was I got to the world quicker, because much like this story, the world isn't really the catalyst, or you could restructure it that the world wasn't the catalyst. It was the thing in the world was the catalyst,
right.
Something like that. So what this story does is that it, from the first minute, we are in an upside down world. It's a hero in an upside down world. But then I don't have a term for it. What would be the upside down world?
Right side up world? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
No,
we're back to the ordinary. Yeah, right. No, we're back to the ordinary world. That's not true. Yeah.
It's dream within a dream, basically, but it's
inside out world.
Yeah.
So yeah, we start on the upside down world. And because of that, there's this rapid, fast pace, fish out of water storyline that gives us all our exposition really quick.
Yep.
And there's a funny story online. You may have seen it. It's a video of James Cameron talking. And he talks about the way of water and how he was buried under this exposition and didn't know what to do. So he was like stressing over it. And then he went to I don't know where he went to get
a newsstand in LA.
A newsstand. Does that exist in LA?
I guess it still does, because he's telling this story now.
Now I'm starting to really think this is an apocryphal story. A newsstand in LA that just happens to have WGA magazine. Right. I mean, that, I don't know. There's multiple fictions in that. I believe Avatar and Unobtainium more than I believe that story. But so anyway, he gets WGA magazine, and on the cover it says, like, 7 exposition tricks or something like that. And then when he opens it up, it says 7 exposition tricks James Cameron used in Terminator. So there's another very similar story about The Godfather. That's almost the exact same story. Like, the guy goes and gets a screenwriting book, and the screenwriting book, all it does is, in the first half of it, is break down The Godfather for how. So it's kind of a classic. It's again a reskinning. He reskinned the classic story for his own thing. But because of this upside down world, because of this fish out of water sequence, it's kind of amazing to watch the first 10 minutes of this. And I'm not sure, and I'd almost like to see Jimmy's explanation of this or theory, if this script is instructive for this or not. Like, I'm not sure if this is a good idea or a bad idea of what happens, because it is a rapid pace, fish out of water exposition sequence, and he uses every trick in the book. He uses
I got
all
them
7.
listed, man.
Yeah. I mean, just the ones I kind of did off the top of my head were he does voiceover. I mean, he does voiceover narration. He does
and it's motivated.
He does a log, a kind of log thing.
Yep.
He does conflict in the form of, who's this guy? He doesn't have any skills, and and explaining why kind of thing. The big thing he uses heavily is it's kind of this thing in my TV book that I call the guided tour. Because he's a fish out of water, we get a rapid, this guy's this person and this person's this and that's this. You see this a lot in pilots. A lot of times in pilots, there's a character that is there on the first day of work or the first day in a new place. And they're like, that's where we keep the thing. And this is Jimmy and this is that, blah, blah, blah. And you meet all the characters super fast. And this story kind of does a guided tour. It also does training. It does like a training sequence. That's also exposition and gives things. There's also just quick flybys. Like one of my favorite things in this that I didn't remember, but when I saw it, I just kind of loved it, were the giant arrows stuck in the side of the.
Yes.
That's
enough.
It's so cool. It's such a good little kind of thing to put in there. A little mystery.
The seed and doesn't answer it.
Yeah. And it just does so many of these things. And it really is because of this fish out of water technique of being, it's what I also call the story before the story. I'm always looking for the story before the story. And this is a story before the story because it's the first day of this person on a new planet. Mm-hmm. And that's a story before the story. And there's tension there. There's conflict. He wasn't supposed to be there. Like I was talking to Bob before this, and I said, I remembered most of the story, but some things like that I didn't remember. I didn't remember he wasn't supposed to be there. Right. But that actually gives the story a lot of juice. If he was just supposed to be there, then it kind of takes away a whole fun little aspect where everybody's like, who's this guy? And, watch out for the guy in the wheelchair and, all that kind of stuff.
Also, they use it to establish that he's a grunt.
He's a grunt.
It's a brain brawn thing going on.
Yeah,
he's a grunt. It gives him rooting resume material because
he's an underdog.
He's an underdog. He's underappreciated. People.
His rooting resume is through the roof.
Yeah,
we didn't do that, but yes.
And it's just this all, and it all comes from this technique of just moving what could have been Act 2, and originally in Project 880, apparently it was Act 2, or at least the debate. At least it was the debate section. My gut says it was probably Act 2. He probably had a whole character, introduced the project and stuff on Earth, a catalyst like, your brother died, we can use you. He debates it. He goes for
They
it.
give him the call to action on Earth.
And then page 25, he wakes up on the planet, and we're on page 25, and now you have to do all that exposition. Which is the way a lot of these movies do work.
They found a way to fill in the gaps.
They pulled it back. And like I said, I just did this on a script I was writing. I did the exact same thing. I was like, throughout the setup, boots on the ground, they're in the new world, right? And then something amazing happens in the new world on page 12. But now everything happens much faster. You learn on the fly. You're learning about characters and conflict. Unfortunately, when I handed it in, they were like, we'd really like to see these characters in their ordinary world before they didn't exactly say that, but I was just like, oh no. And
that was my note, Jamie.
Yeah.
Didn't the thing I sent you about the extended cut said it had a new longer opening or something? Maybe some of that is in here now. I'm not going to watch it.
I did hear that in the extended cut there is more about Earth. But I'm not sure. So maybe there's a couple quick scenes of him at home, or you know what I mean? Like when he does the voiceover. Like when I got the call, I was just a grunt sitting at home eating chicken.
So we're just watching him pick a phone up.
Yeah, that probably was. But they probably then looked out the window and saw how the Earth was a dystopian nightmare or something like that. It wouldn't shock me.
It's Wall-E.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Jamie, on top of everything that you just listed was a whole bunch of exposition technique. Mm-hmm. Like so you asked the question, like, would I like advise this.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. It reminds me of the question when I try to be like, when I'll complain. I haven't done this since like 2018 because it's not worth it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but I'd put out there like I think it's ill-advised to write a 7-minute dialogue scene with two people sitting at a table.
Yeah.
And then people just bring me the greatest examples of a 7-minute scene with two people sitting at a table of all time. And they like, they talk, what about Pulp Fiction Diner? And I'm like, you're not Quentin Tarantino. That's my answer. So my answer is like every tool, and I'll list a whole bunch more that he's using. If you have the ability to wield these tools,
right,
then fuck yeah, go for it, right? But it's all about the execution, and we're talking about the work of a master. So like he can get away with it, but look, he's a guy who we are talking about him like he's a master of his craft, and he's going to he's going to a magazine to get prompts for everybody needs this from time to time. So
but, by the way, I will say one of the things after I started writing my books is there are a lot of screenwriters that say that they do this, that between scripts, they do go pick up books. They pick up my book. They've mentioned it. And sometimes they just need something to read to get their mind started.
Yeah,
and stuff
to get
like
the
that.
Juices flowing.
It's not as freaky or as uncommon as it seems. Like for every Reddit poster that says, you can't learn screenwriting from a book. What are you, some hack? I can't tell you. I don't want to name them or call them out, but I've actually had, people that did things that we've talked about on our podcast. Kind of, I've seen mention that they've read books, or even mentioned that they've read one of my books and sort of agreed with it. So it's something people do. Yeah.
So some additional things to what Jamie just said that they use is, because Jake is a fish out of water, there's I don't know who coined this term, but like one common exposition character that you can use, the type of character is like the Watson, right? You have a character whose sole job is they have some organic reason for them to be inquisitive. And it doesn't necessarily have to be your lead, right? Watson in Sherlock Holmes is not the lead, but he is aiding in the investigation, and his inquisitive nature constantly has him asking questions that give the audience answers we're searching for. So like Jake becomes our Watson because of his fish out of water status. But also there's something that's called like need to know stakes basis, when the stakes demand that the information is learned, then the information you learn is organic. Like we absorb it really easily. So Jake is like trying to get his legs back, right? So the stakes are that Jake is trying to get his legs back. So all of this information gathering beyond just orienting himself is like, it has a purpose, right? Like it has motivation behind it that's driving this quest for answers. So we go with it, right? And then there's constant Pope in the pools, which we've talked about on the show. I'm not going to like retread that, but like, even just like when they go into that pod room, the pod room is so cool, and everything that you're seeing, and you're all just like, your brain is gathering all the visual information you're seeing. Sigourney Weaver, Grace does like a 2-minute info dump of how it's going to work and everything. And we're like, it doesn't feel like an info dump at all, because everything you're seeing in that space is so cool, right? So it functions like a Pope in the pool. And then like one good exposition tip is like never stop for the exposition, right? If you can find a way to give us the exposition while the story is moving forward. And I think that like that entire, like Jake in the jungle, like when he's like, he's getting chased by the beast, you're learning all this information, and the character is learning all this information about the world for like 20 minutes in a row, and nothing's being said. You're seeing the gravity, you're seeing the size of everything.
It's all setups too.
It's all setups, right? But it's all like in action and conflict. And then another, just like the Watson, there's another type of character that it's like the most low-hanging fruit exposition character, Morpheus, Obi-Wan, Mr. Miyagi, which is the teacher, right? The instructor. You need an instructor character, and if that instructing character has a reason to be teaching your character stuff, then like everything we learn from that character feels easy to absorb, and it doesn't feel like you're just like telling the audience exposition. And Natiri, I mean, her whole role for a good middle portion of the story is to teach Jake how the world works, right? And she's constantly testing him, and that's another good way to deliver exposition, which is like you have an expert test your character on what they know, and you make it organic. Like, you think you know your shit, and they also did that with Norm, the comic obsession with Pandora. He's like testing Jake about what he knows. Like, you don't know about the floating mountains? Like, that's a great way to deliver organic exposition. And then they do exposition as ammunition, which we've talked about in the past. When your character is arguing for something, then it becomes exposition as ammunition, like bullets, like to defend. And she's like spilling all the science about the tree network when she's trying to argue with Giovanni Ribisi's character about why they shouldn't do what they're going to do. She's spouting all the science that's planting all the seeds for us about what's going to happen in the second half of the movie. And she's doing it, and it never feels like she's info dumping because it's ammunition, right? She's doing that to like defend herself and to defend her actions. And so that's a great example of exposition, that boardroom battle scene where she's just arguing with him. And then just the ever-present mystery, like, what is the Matrix? Like, what is Iwa? Like, they're talking about Iwa and the mystery, like, mother of the planet for the whole movie, and they kind of just keep reminding us of that mystery. What is Iwa? How does it work? And like I said, in that boardroom scene, she's just starting to talk about the science and learning more. And then Jake does his bonding with the voices, and he hears the voices of the ancestors, and we're starting to learn more. So they do a great job of revisiting the questions that are big and that they haven't answered, so that we just have a little bit of tease, more answers, but we don't have all the answers, which is another great technique, right? If you can't give us all the answers, if you just give us a little bit more of the picture, then at least we're satisfied enough to be like, why aren't you telling me? Because I will tell you, like, my wife Jill is a big sci-fi person, and she watched it with me for the first time. And we watched Stargate, the show, and we've literally watched like 300 episodes of characters entering an alien planet, meeting a bunch of new community with new magic system, with new rules, all this stuff. And like, all of that gets explained and easy to absorb and follow along with, and has constant conflict and is resolved in 47 minutes. And her, as an experienced viewer, was like, why are they like dangling all these questions that... So to your point, Jamie, from a reader standpoint, I don't know if I would advise following this thing where like half the questions are dangled for like 90 minutes, you know what I mean, about the world and how it works and why we don't get to know more. Like, do you really need 3 hours like to explain everything? So yeah, there's just like so much. There's just so much exposition. Like, I feel like we could do an hour-long thing and just break down every scene because there's so much exposition, and it's handled really well, but it's like really difficult stuff being done. Like, yeah, it's a lot to keep up with, even though it's a small window.
I honestly, I think that with this movie specifically, I could actually use a lot less exposition.
Okay.
I think that there's so much. It's a visual movie, and there's so much about like what's happening that I actually could figure out myself by just seeing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The actions of her explaining it to Jake, obviously that's for his character, but like the way things operate on the planet, it's kind of self-explanatory. Like, if you saw that tree and you saw like them connecting themselves to it and all like chanting and stuff, or how they connect to the horses and the flying shit, it makes sense. Just, I don't know. It's just like, it doesn't need to be all explained completely.
Have you guys heard of the Hemingway iceberg theory? Have you guys heard of that? It's relevant to the exposition.
No, I haven't.
It sounds familiar, but I can't.
So Hemingway has a rule. His approach to exposition is that your story is an iceberg, and the reader should only read the tip of it, the 1/8 of the iceberg, and we should be able to fill in the gap. You should give them enough that they can fill in the gaps, that this is an iceberg I'm looking at, and it's massive, but most of it's underwater. And you just like, the story should give the reader as little amount of information as they need to follow along, and let their imagination fill in the gaps. And that should be a question you're asking yourself at all times. Like, am I giving them too much? Am I giving them enough gaps to fill in on their own with their own imagination? So
But also
that's relevant to what you were saying.
Yeah, and
people hate that now, apparently, though. So.
yeah. So Hemingway, you're saying Hemingway wrote Titanic,
Right?
That's why I thought it was.
That's what you're saying.
You picked up the joke. Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Good.
And he's a big David Lynch fan.
Don't explain anything.
Yeah, just don't. There's a little teeny bit of ice above the water.
That topic actually lends well to a later thing you talked about, which was off-screen movie.
Yeah, that's next.
Yeah, that's next. So big world, small window.
Jamie, do you want to explain the off-screen movie, and then we'll go?
Sure. It's a column by on the website wordplayer.com, which is kind of an old 1990s looking website that Terry Rossio still maintains to this day. And he just added an article or a column this week.
Really?
Yeah. It's kind of his personal depository for just random, like, long form musings he has about writing and screenwriting and film. And this is one of the older ones, when he used to do like one a month. Now he does like one every 2 years, he adds. So there's one called The Off-Screen Movie that he describes. I think it was, is it Jan de Bont? Is that the guy's name? Yep. He said when he was working on Godzilla, the director at the time when he was working on Godzilla, Terry Rossio and Ted Elliott's script wasn't used for Godzilla, but Jan de Bont.
You're talking about 98, right?
Yeah, the 98 one. He kept referencing this thing called. He kept talking about the off-screen movie, like what scenes needed to be in the movie, what scenes didn't need to be in the movie, and Terry much later kind of came up with his own like aha moment. I think he said he was watching Schindler's List or something like that when it happened. And the idea was that these scenes you don't see in a movie, the best movies, give the movie momentum. So like a movie is, you kind of pick and choose which scenes you're actually going to show, but there's a whole nother movie going on outside of the movie. And if your movie doesn't have an off-screen movie, he says those movies aren't as good, is kind of what he thinks. He doesn't think they move they don't have the momentum that your otherwise movie with an off-screen movie would have. So it's kind of the collection of scenes or things happening that are very exciting, that you never show, that they just are assumed by the audience. I think one of the things he says in that article that always stuck with me is it's why opening scenes are usually easy to write. In my opinion, they're usually fun to write, because there's all this off-screen buildup that's happened. So the audience is catching up when they watch. It's like this, there's already a ton of momentum. You can roll the ball down the hill. You don't have to show people pushing the ball. And then the audience is catching up and trying to figure out, where you're at. So anyway, that's what the off-screen.
And then Jamie, is that where the big world, small window term comes from, that same article, or is it just a companion that really works well together to explain this?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's where that comes from or not. I think, I'm not sure where that particularly comes from. Like that is something I organically came up with like years ago, but people long before me said the same thing. Like I think William Martell, for example, I've heard him reference it, and honestly, I probably stole it from him if I stole it from anybody.
I mean, it's the new skin.
Yeah, and he may have taken it from Wordplayer because he was a regular Wordplayer guy too. He quotes Wordplayer a lot as well. So
it's been a long time since we quoted the Blue Books. For anyone out there, if you haven't read William Martell's Blue Books, go seek them out.
Yeah. And I know
Secrets is the website, right?
Script Secrets, still another 1990s looking website that has lots of great information on it.
Yeah. Okay. So on that note, so do you want to, can you also, sorry to give you another pull string, but can you explain Big World, Small Window? You just do a better job than me.
wherever big windows or a big window, big world, small window comes from, it's the idea that, and it's the advice I give to most screenwriters is, if you want to write big world stories, if you want to write Avatar, if you want to write these big planets or something, figure out a small story, a contained story, a small window into that bigger world. And Terminator is a great example of this. Terminator's is, you could tell the story of the machines versus the humans and do this huge $500 million movie, or you could do Terminator, which takes place in our time and just is really about three people kind of in a chase movie. Yeah, a slasher. It's the perfect example of small window, big world.
One that comes to mind that we did early on in the show was A Quiet Place.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
You know, a small family on a farm, 4 characters dealing with a post-apocalyptic alien invasion story. Right? Nearly everyone on Earth is dead, but you're only following 4 characters dealing with that. So
10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah, 10 Clover, which it's revealed to be that, right?
Right.
So I put this on here. So we've done this for anyone who's listening. I'm not going to do as exhaustive. So if you like this and you haven't heard these, we did a more exhaustive version of this on the Dune 2, Mad Max Fury Road, Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, and Willow episodes. So those are the only episodes we talked about this before. So Jamie, for all that lead up that you did when we started about like how it used to be that people would write these scripts and it would be like, this is the next Star Wars, and that's not a thing anymore. So get your bingo cards out, because I read amateur scripts 5 days a week. And I would say, it's not as prevalent as the serial killer scripts I've told you about that I get so many of. But this is one of the kinds of scripts I get a lot. I mean, I've consulted on at least 100 of these. By this I mean a big fantasy epic or a big sci-fi epic that's playing with fantasy, their own personal Avatar, right? Or their own personal Dungeons and Dragons. And they all have the same problems, all of them. And that is, the world window is too big. And then that world window is broken down into individual areas of the story. And I'll tell you about the problems that are common in amateur screenwriters who are trying to do this. And then I'll compare it to Avatar's world window, as big as it feels, right? I think you're going to be surprised. So it's broken down into 4 categories. Basically, people are sending me Game of Thrones season 1 in a 200-page script. And like, these scripts are always 200 pages, by the way. What do you think about that, Jamie? That page count, by the way, just off the bat.
Did you say 250?
200. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything over, honestly, it is sort of lame to talk about page count, but there is something real to page count. Okay.
Yes.
I'm on an assignment right now. Like I said, I'm on an assignment right now that the primary goal, more important than anything else I do, is to get it from 130 under 100. I'm being paid to do that. So that tells you something. And the original writer was struggling to figure that out, to crack the code. So they kind of brought in a fresh set of eyes to help crack that code, like figure out how to take 30 pages out. And as lame as that sounds, it's like a real thing. It's my page count rules are 100 is kind of like the magic number where you don't get any questions. You get to about 110, 112, and then anything over that really feels like you don't know what you're doing to an extent.
People get scared. People get it's a red flag. It's a red flag for potential producers.
Yeah, and it just is, as somebody that reads a lot of scripts, it kind of sucks when you start getting to 120 pages. It's just like, dude, they're never, I really haven't ever read a script that was 120 pages that I was like, oh yeah, this should have been 120
Nothing
pages.
Can be cut. Yeah.
I can't think of a single one I've ever read.
I didn't ask you this question to shit on these people.
But
I wasn't just like rubbing my hands together like,
I got a question.
David's gonna go.
To be specific, Jimmy, you said 200 pages. Is that for a feature?
Yes.
It's not like a TV
I
series or
get
something?
very commonly I will get a script that is their own personal avatar and it's 200 pages straight up.
Yeah.
Yep.
And by the way, a lot of times you'll see people on a Reddit thread, or if you give this advice, they'll say, well, what about Avatar? Isn't that like 3 hours long and stuff? And the weird thing is, yes, Avatar is 3 hours long, but if it was a spec script, it would probably be about 110 pages.
Right.
It's just the way it is. And they would do tricks because they know spec scripts are selling documents. They're not production drafts and stuff like that. So anyway,
I'm not
how do people ask that
I'm-
and not think, but you didn't make Aliens?
well,
You know what I mean? Like,
they're thinking this is a great movie. My movie's a great movie, and it's the same. It's less than Avatar,
dude.
You know,
I'm not, but I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to squash dreams. I'm
Right,
not
I
trying
know.
To, like,
I would squash dreams.
I'm
I
not
know.
trying to put flames to put.
I think
fan
there's
out the flames of ambition.
the other one I hear a lot is Tony Gilroy's I don't know, such and such,
And
and he just doesn't care. He's to the point in his career where he doesn't 160 pages, suck it. You know, read that.
Yeah,
dude.
he has that luxury.
Yeah,
he has that
he's not
luxury.
really writing spec screenplays in quite the same way as we are.
Right. But so anyway, so there's a reason it's 200. It always comes down to the same 4 reasons.
Okay.
And that is, there's a reason, because they're including all of the 7 kingdoms of Game of Thrones into one script. We have a geographical window that's too big. I'm getting a script that has too many territories, too many locations, too many warring factions. I'm getting 7 warring factions in a 200-page script. The average fantasy script I'm sent has like 40 to 50 locations.
Sure.
And what I always try to tell people is, like, Star Wars works because it's the Empire versus the Rebellion. And if you add another Empire and you add another Rebellion, it doesn't work. If you have 2 rebellions and 2 empires in Star Wars, it doesn't work. It's too big. The geographical window is too big. Okay, number 2, that problem number 1 motivates everything, all the other problems. So problem number 2 is too many speaking roles. The average fantasy or sci-fi script I'm sent has 50 to 60 speaking roles and 20 to 30 nameless featured extras. Old man number 3, watch out for that dragon, and then you never see him on screen again. There's 30 old man number 3s saying, like, don't go in that cave. And that leads to a cast of like 80 speaking roles.
Well, not with AI. We just press one.
But like, so that right there, 80 speaking roles informs the bloated 200-page script. You're gonna have 80 speaking roles. You're gonna have 200 pages of script. And then number 3 is mythology overload, right? The average fantasy script I'm reading has like 3 to 5 prophecies in the world and 20 or 30 magical creatures that the story stops to explain. Well, this magical creature is this, and this is how it works, and this is what this magical creature does, and its blood has the healing properties that we need. And
you're reading a D&D manual.
Yes. And look, I understand that people are excited. They want to create their own worlds. It's just like, these are things you need to keep in mind. And we shouldn't need a bestiary. Like I've given the example on the past that I have to sometimes, to kind of prove my point, make a grimoire for the script that I'm reading. So that 200-page script, I'm making a grimoire that has all the explanations of these things. And it's like, I send them like a 27-page PDF that I just cut and pasted out of their script. That's just explanations of what everything is in the script. So anyway, so the third one is mythology overload. Prophecies on top of prophecies, just so many magical creatures that you can't keep up with. Okay. Number 4 is magic overload, which is quadruple mumbo jumbo. We've got we've got this magic works this way and this, that. I usually will read a script that has like 5 magic systems and 30 magical objects and 30 spells. We got white magic, we got blue magic, we got gold magic, we got red magic, and this is how red magic works, and this is how white magic works. And you're just like, and then in sci-fi, they do their own version of that, right? And so we need like our own like spell book that we're keeping up with in our head just to understand what the hell everybody's doing. So basically, I want to compare this. Willow has a very similar thing to Avatar, which is like Willow has this grand, it feels like the world window is huge. But then when you break down the actual details, like I'm going to do for Avatar, there's like so few speaking characters, and there's only one magic system, and there's only a few spells, and there's only like 6 locations. It all, when it's broken down, you understand why it's so palatable and so easy to follow along and so memorable that you want to come back to it. Yeah. Okay. So here we go. As big as Pandora is, right? It's actually a very small window to keep up with. We have 6 locations. Hell's Gate, the human base. The Shack, which is Grace's abandoned school. Home Tree, which is the Omaticaya village. The Floating Hallelujah Mountains. The Tree of Voices, and the Tree of Souls. Everything else is just jungle. Just generic jungle. So we only have 6 locations.
Jamie's favorite. Yeah.
That's what's great about it.
Isn't that awesome though? Avatar has 6 locations. It's fucking amazing. And you can think from a producing standpoint why that's like helpful, right? They only have 2
It's only 6 locations, and it's a movie where like most of those locations don't even exist. So you could fabricate as many as you want.
Yes, exactly.
But he kept it to 6.
Yeah. Only 2 warring factions, of course. The READ, the RDA human military versus the Omaticaya clan. We learn about the other clans in the last like 5 minutes of the movie, 10 minutes of the movie, right? But for most of the time, it's just the humans versus the Omaticaya clan, right? 2 warring factions. Empire, rebellion. Keep it simple. Small character window. Okay. There's only 12 speaking roles. 12. There's in the whole, I mean, some of that's problematic, right? We wish we knew more of the
I don't know if anyone needs to do more talking though.
It's just they need to be more interesting,
yeah.
Basically. And then, I just said that most of the fantasy sci-fi scripts I read have like 30 old man number 3 or space soldier number 3.
Yeah.
There's only 5 featured extras in Avatar. The cryo attendant who wakes Jake up, the shuttle crew chief who like brings them in on arrival, the door gunner who's featured throughout making a bunch of bullshit comments, the soldier who's mocking Jake coming out of the thing in a wheelchair, and then the Na'vi hunter who discovers him. 5 in the whole script, listeners, not 30.
For
so
$400 million is only 5.
Right.
Yeah.
So total in the movie, only 17 characters speak in the whole of a $237 million 3-hour epic. 17 people.
I would have guessed at least 30.
Yeah, man, 17.
Yeah.
So, and then there's only one legend, one prophecy, which is the Taruk Makto, the giant creature that the last person who was able to bond with it and ride was able to unite the clans. That's the one legend. And then they have 8 creatures. I don't need to list them all. There's only 8 creatures.
Please,
So, yeah. And then there's only one magic system, which is the Iwa, the planetary neural network. Everything connects to it. You get it, right? You understand. There's only one magic system. So after all that, I mean, 6 locations, 2 factions, 12 speaking roles, 5 featured extras, 1 magic system. It's so small compared to most of the scripts I'm getting that are trying to pull this off, So just keep that in mind. It's you don't need 50 speaking roles. You don't need 40 locations. You can do it with 6.
Use that as a thing. So you're doing like 3 times as much as Avatar.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So
I would have guessed all those numbers at least double. If
way bigger, right? When you break it down. That's what I did. That's what I did the second watch. I just broke down I made an Avatar grimoire.
Right. Well, okay. let's move on to the midpoint.
Yeah. So the midpoint in this one is just so classically good that I think it's worth pointing out. It's like the one I use in webinars and things. I use the avatar midpoint. So it really has two different midpoints. It's almost like a double bump midpoint, which is what I see in a lot of movies. You could argue one of two things are the midpoint. I think they work kind of together. There's kind of when he rides the dragon or whatever they're called. What are they called? I don't know what they're called.
I don't.
He rides the back of it and he kind of gets respect from the tribe, like, you know. So up to this point, and he has one goal. And so I'll kind of tie two ideas together.
Okay.
His idea, he has a goal of kind of being a good soldier, you know, earning his legs, so to speak, and doing the mission is his goal, right? But at this point, when he rides the dragon, when he gets respect, his goal starts to shift, right? And it's the second part of this midpoint, which is really what I plug as the midpoint, is the A story meets B story midpoint, which is the love story, the joining of the two or whatever. It's really like a Sex at 60 midpoint is what it is. But so, you know, Blake Snyder has this idea, Sex at 60, he called it, in a 120 page script, which they used to be back in the 70s. Page 60 was the midpoint. And that was often where the sex scene or the kiss happened or something like that. And what that does in most stories is it creates a dilemma, because suddenly your priorities may change or get complicated. Things get personal. So now he has a dilemma. He has a love and he has a mission, and the two are facing each other. So it's like the perfect version of that midpoint. It illustrates that perfectly. In this particular movie, it kind of shifts his goal. It starts to, at least. He starts to get like, you know, hey, we can't kill them, to ultimately outright sabotage and ultimately outright war against his own team. Is what usually happens in these kind of things. But it's really, really a great illustration of a perfect kind of A story meets B story midpoint. And the one I use as an example of midpoints in classes and webinars.
So that's why you've revisited it.
Yeah. It's just like
for that.
the best one. It is like the epitome of it. And I think because the stakes are so high and things like that, it just shows you, like other movies that have a kiss at the midpoint or a love scene at the midpoint, the stakes and the dilemma isn't quite as heightened as this. So it's a little looser, but it still sort of functions in the same way.
Cool. Did that also cover goal changes, Jamie?
It did. Okay. Yep. So I'll just say, sometimes, though rarely, the hero's goal that starts in the beginning of the movie or in Act 2, the log line goal, hero goal obstacle stakes, shifts at the midpoint. And sometimes it very often shifts in Act 3 as well. This movie, it kind of starts to shift and then it totally shifts by Act 3.
Very cool. All right, well, let's talk about the not so secret weapon then.
This is of course mine. So this may be one of the most common topics. This is my pull string. Wind me up and go. So I'll go ahead and take this, Jamie, all together. So this is a specialized person, place, thing, or scenario setup that the hero uses in the climax to help them succeed. It's not just a Chekhov's gun. It's the most important setup. And when you can disguise it and bury it, like exposition with a joke, it lands even stronger. So this is like very crucial to the arch plot cheeseburger movie that we primarily do on the show. So it's not surprising that it shows up in Avatar, like, you know, a traditional blockbuster. So it's Luke using the Force to blow up the Death Star in Star Wars. It's crossing the streams in Ghostbusters. It's the oxygen tank in Jaws. It's Dutch's mud camouflage in Predator. It's the dead and buried alt-verse Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. It's the well camera and the juke balloon in Nope. And most recently on the show, it was the thorn tree branch in Weapons. It was the violin tune to seduce the monster in Young Frankenstein. And on Elf, it was singing Santa Claus is Coming to Town in order to bring the Christmas spirit up so that Santa can fly his sleigh again. So it just keeps showing up. And in this one, I think there's two. Do you know them without me even saying it? Do you guys know which ones they are?
I could guess, but I feel like I'm going to be wrong.
Guess.
No, that's wrong. Never mind.
What do you got, Jamie?
I don't know. I don't know what the not so secret.
And so
was.
It's not archery. It's not the air, right? The masts or anything.
It's two of them. Number one, it's Iwa.
Mhm.
So he reaches out to Iwa at the tree, and he's like, I don't know if you're here. I don't know if you're actually real, but we could sure use your help. And then Neytiri says, that's not how it works. She doesn't take sides. She just restores balance. And then, so they establish that it's assumed she's not going to help, right? And then the entire planetary network joins the fight and is what ends up giving them the upper hand, all of the planet. And she literally says, Neytiri says, Iwa has heard you. So that's number one. It's the entire planet is the not so secret weapon, number one. And then the second is, beyond that, building off of that, the beast that's called the Thanator, the creature that almost killed Jake in Act 1 that led him into the entire story, it's established as like a ruthless killer that doesn't care. And it ends up being Neytiri's war mount that helps her fight the Colonel in the finale, right? It twists, it becomes...
What is both of those,
again? The Thanator.
That's called the Thanator?
I had to look it up. Yeah.
All right.
It's in science. It means an animal that wants to kill. And,
they don't say it, but I had to look it up. So both are disguised, right? You don't really feel like those are going to be weapons, especially since when he prays, she's like, she doesn't take sides. And then both are subverted. Iwa is set up as passive, and the beast is set up as a threat.
Also, also the elephant things.
They're part of the whole planet.
Oh yeah, they're part of the thing. Right,
they're part of. It's like all of them. It's the entire planet comes to their aid because of Iwa. So it's not surprising to me that there's a not so secret weapon, especially since the alien loader is like one of the best not so secret weapons of all time. So we're talking about the guy that wrote that,
Sure. Awesome. Okay. Next, last really is the good news, bad news technique. This has been on several episodes. Mainly, I'm thinking Solo, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Willow. Those are the three.
Guardians, you did too. Which
I did one for Guardians too. This is kind of the technique that reminds at least me of the Lucasfilm Spielberg world, right? Like it's the thing that they're copying. It's basically, how do you write an action scene, right? Don't just write an action scene where your hero is winning throughout the entire thing and then kills the bad guy. It's boring. No one wants to watch that.
Unless it's John Wick, which we've talked about.
There's exceptions. Right. But so it's a technique where, you go back and forth, good news, bad news. And from the perspective, in this case, it's the perspective of the hero, but you could actually do a good news, bad news from a villain point too, right?
Yeah, totally.
So I tracked the good news, bad news in the final fight. And for anyone that hasn't watched this in a while and is listening, know that this fight is happening right outside the mobile lab where Jake's human body is broadcasting from. Is that the right word to use? I guess
that's a good way to put it. Yeah,
it's like however they're connected to
Wi-Fi,
the Wi-Fi, the 5G body, right? Yeah, the 5G, right? Okay, so it's basically the end fight scene. Is what I tracked on good news and bad news. All right, so it's starting out bad news. The Colonel in a mech robot with a giant knife just stabbed the Thanator. Is that what you're calling it? I wrote down
That
tiger.
creature.
I wrote tiger beast. I didn't know what
That's
to call it.
better.
To stab the tiger beast. Natiri was attacking, riding while attacking with. He stabbed the beast to death, trapping her underneath and leaving her open to be slaughtered by General Quaritch. Good news. Jake Sully arrives, switching the general's attention and momentarily saving Nateri. Jake grabs a broken blade weapon from the broken mech suit on the ground and blocks the general's first strike. Bad news. The general is in a fucking mech suit. He keeps swinging at Jake and pushing him back without any effort. Good news. Jake catches the general's blade in the handle of his weapon and breaks it away from the hand of the mech robot, allowing him to leap and puncture a giant hole in the general's glass barrier windshield thing. I don't know what to call that. Bad news. The general rips the blade out, and he's used to holding his breath in the deadly atmosphere. He tosses the blade directly at Jake. The general ejects the entire glass barrier and puts on a facial mask. He can now breathe again. He's fine. Good news. Now the general is vulnerable, and Jake pulls his knife out. He has like his own personal knife. So there's a chance something you can actually get to him now. Bad news. The general says, "Time to wake up," and turns and attacks the mobile lab, breaching the hall and letting in the Pandoran atmosphere that will kill Jake's human body. Good news. Jake leaps on top of the mech robot behind the general's head and stabs at his neck with a knife. Bad news. Jake misses. The knife gets stuck in the general's headrest, and the general's mech arm grabs and tosses Jake far in front of him. Meanwhile, Jake's human body is starting to suffocate. Avatar Jake is in and out of consciousness as his body struggles to maintain broadcast, Wi-Fi, whatever you want to say. Good news. Jake snaps back into consciousness of his avatar because it's like a moment of like, oh, I'm back really quick. Bad news. Jake, the general, grabs Jake by his ponytail. I don't know what those are called. By his ponytail, lifts his entire body up painfully for a nice face-to-face chat. The general pulls out his blade from his headrest to arm himself. Good news. Natiri frees herself finally from under the Thaninator, or whatever the hell that thing's called. Bad news. The general is going to slit Jake's throat. Good news. Natiri fires her bow and arrows, striking Quaritch in the chest. He drops James. She fires a second arrow. Quaritch and his mech suit drop dead. Bad news. Jake's human form wakes up, stumbles out of his pod while actively suffocating from the Pandoran air. The reserve oxygen mask is too high for him to reach. He collapses fully on the floor, gasping for air. Good news. Natiri realizes why Jake's avatar is unresponsive, leaps into the mobile lab, and puts the mask on Jake. Finally, he can breathe again, and for the first time, Natiri and Jake look into each other's eyes. Then they get married and have babies, and everybody's happy. Right?
Wow, man, that was a great one.
I didn't see the sequels. I don't know.
Right. Right.
That was a great one, Bob. That's so many
good.
iterations. Like, wow, so many back and forths.
Yeah, but it's the same technique as you would find in any of our favorite movies, right? Like just back and forth, back and forth. And there's also, I didn't write it out like this, but there's also like it keeps cutting back to Natiri constantly trying to free herself, so there's even more tension there than what you're hearing from me. You know. So
I mean that tells you that I think that's one of the most gripping scenes in the movie, and that informs why.
Yeah, there's some good news, bad news in the air battle.
Definitely.
Like, I mean, it's James Cameron knows what he's doing with this. I mean, I'm sure we could track T2 and all that stuff.
And from a screenwriter perspective, like I get kind of amateur scripts that just, again, that whole thing would be shortened to like a page, and it would just be the good news. It would be good news, good news, good news. The end, you know. But it's this good news, bad news technique that makes for a fun action scene. So, and also, I mean, on a bigger note, there's this whole debate like, what should I write for an action scene? And some people say, I just write action scene happens and let the stunt coordinator do it.
I
You
don't
know,
do that.
and there are a lot of people. Again, I've been trolling Reddit for a while now. There are a lot of people on Reddit like that would say that to you. By the way, I find the Reddit screenplay forums pretty good. I've been on them. I finally started to go on them and comment. I don't know if it's there's something about the screenwriting forums that I think they have some pretty good answers on there. But so I'm using Reddit as kind of a joke. But there are people out there I've seen on social media. I'll say it's more the Facebook things that I look at, and they'll say like, "No, that's a stunt coordinator's job" or something like that. Don't say, just say fight happens, and then explain the outcome. And that is like
Awful.
the worst. It's the worst advice ever.
The scene that I just read though has a lot of character.
Yes.
In it too. Like that's the end of Quaritch's he's a flat arc, essentially showing what lengths he's willing to go.
It's storytelling, it's writing, it's jokes, it's gags, it's fun.
In Quaritch's mind, he's getting revenge on what he sees as a betrayal.
Yes.
But by the way, if a stunt coordinator had something cool to add to that, they always can. But what if they don't? What if the stunt coordinator you get isn't so great at storytelling, and they're just like, okay, well, we'll just do good news, and that's the end. It's your job to do this. What's funny is I had a client who had a very good friend that is an Oscar-winning drama screenwriter. And I'll let you figure out who this is. And she went back to that person. She had to write an action scene. And she said, "Oh, how do I write this action scene? I've never done this." And they said, "I just write action scene and let somebody else deal with it." But she was a person that mainly wrote drama and never really wrote action, had no idea how to do it. She's like, "I don't really know how to do it. I just do action scene." So, and I was like, no, don't listen to that.
That's a real problem for a lot of filmmakers and writers.
Yeah. So
you guys remember Wolf, the movie Wolf?
Yes.
Jack
Nicholson.
Yeah, I always refer to that as because it was directed by Mike Nichols. Incredible director, character dramas, comedies. But when it comes to the action scenes in that movie, if you ever watch it again, they're a mess. They're absolutely horrible. And it's because you have a director who has no interest or clue how to execute.
This person had no interest in this. This famous Oscar-winning screenwriter had just no interest in the action parts of it. They were like, not my thing.
But you should write out your action. It'll make your movie better. And
unless you're an Oscar-winning famous screenwriter,
right? Unless you're that, that brings us to the end of our topics, and we got through this whole episode without mentioning the Ryan Gosling SNL sketch about using the bad font. It's a great fucking sketch. Do you even know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Did you guys want to say anything else or plug anything, or?
I'll say a couple plugs. The feature film I mentioned a few months ago, I Really Love My Husband, that I consulted on an early draft of, is available on streaming now, kind of everywhere. It's not on Netflix, but it's on all the the VOD platforms where you can rent it. So check that out, and congrats again to Gigi Hawkins and her team. If you're listening, Gigi,
congrats. Jamie?
I don't have anything new to plug. I'll give an update on the plug Jimmy gave me last time that I downplayed. Mission Santa Yo-Yo to the Rescue has now had its international release and still really hasn't made it to the United States. So maybe next year. It played like 5 to 10 theaters or something that I kind of tracked and trolled. I still have no idea what's going on. My gut says next Christmas it'll come out on all the streaming platforms. It was probably something contractual that they had to show it theatrical, and because of the tight Christmas window, they probably just did this year and was like, we'll release it next year.
Jamie, when I was on IMDb Pro updating the show details for last season,
yes,
I saw that it had made like $2 million worldwide as of like last week.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey,
No, it's like scavenged like 2 million from all these different places. It's
I
big.
mean, that's pretty damn cool, man.
Its biggest release was India, I think. I think because the animation was done in India, so the Indian like filmmaking community got like, I don't know, had a big push. Like nowhere else did it have a push, but there it had a social media push. Like it had kids coming out of the movie doing interviews and stuff like that. And it was really only India that had that. But it's funny because it's made like little bits of money all over the place. Like Slovakia, $70,000, Germany, $600,000, and if you collect them all, it's like in the 2 to 3 billion range, I think.
That's so cool. So is this the most amount of box office from a movie you've written?
It probably is. The only other one I can think of that may have made close to that much was VHS 2, because it had an okay theatrical. I mean, it had a limited theatrical release, but it made a lot of money per theater.
Did Lovely Molly get a theatrical release?
Very small, like less than 20 theaters. Like that, all my movies are that way for whatever reason. It exists was less than 20 theaters. Lovely Molly, less than 20. Just all those movies had like 10 or 20 theaters. Yeah. So none of them made any money. They're the type of things that people who don't understand go on and say, this is the worst movie ever. It made $10,000, at the box office. It's like, yeah, it wasn't really meant to do that. They were just kind of like fulfilling a contract or something to send out there. They were really
like it had to play in a certain amount of screens in order to.
A lot of times you get that in your contract just for yucks and giggles, So
do people seem to like Yo-Yo?
I think so.
That's
I
good.
mean, yeah, I still haven't seen it because I'm just
that's crazy to me.
They can't give you a screener or something?
They could have. I didn't really press it. I was just like, I'll wait till it comes on streaming, but then it never came on streaming. But I'll wait till next year. I'll see it next year or whatever. They offered a screener to me, and I just kind of put them off because I was like, it'll come out at Christmas. I'll watch it, but I'll watch it next year.
Well, 2 million. This is your Avatar.
That's right.
Man.
That's
Congrats, Jamie, though. It's really exciting.
Almost to $2 billion. $3 billion.
If I ever get there, I will be thrilled.
In indie filmmaker terms, 2 million at the box office is pretty good.
Massive.
Yeah, because it's actually theatrical. So, they'll sell it to all those territories on demand and stuff like that, and streaming. And that's where this will pay back the budget, and then everything else will be profit.
Maybe they'll want another one.
They might. Yeah.
Yo-Yo can live. Okay.
I've already written 2 movies for the same company, and I think they both have a green light. They're just making movies, and I kind of feel like they're kind of a small international independent animation company, and I'm like, they must be more scared about AI than anybody. Because I would think the first thing to go AI wise, or the first thing to really change, will be animation. I would assume that would be the case. Because if you could do Toy Story in animation or something, I think that'll be. Now, honestly, I don't think it'll be quite the wholesale change people think it'll be, but I do think they'll start using the tools more and more.
Yeah. Well, wait, before we go bomb everyone out.
Yeah.
Let's leave on a non-depressing note.
Yeah.
I don't know what that would be. Avatar 3 in theaters. I haven't seen it yet. I'll probably go see it.
I haven't either.
Oh, okay.
Verticals are coming. That'll be the thing.
Yeah, the vertical movie. Jesus.
I know. We're gonna be doing this show when they start coming out in mass in our country. We might end up doing a vertical sometime. Oh my gosh.
I mean, I know one thought I wanted to say on this episode was, do you think that Avengers Doomsday could ever reach like what an Avatar movie will now?
Maybe.
I
think it's a good, it has the best chance, but
I think the dipping back to the well with all the same actors is gonna get a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've backed out of MCU. I'm so behind, and I'm still curious enough that I will go to the theater and see it out of curiosity. So,
Well,
if it's a bad movie but with all those actors, it'll still make good money. But if it's good,
Endgame made 2.8 mil or bill.
Bill.
Sorry.
yeah, but this
I was
can't
like,
be, this,
Jamie, they barely made more than Yo-Yo.
That's
this
right.
can't-
Yo-Yo beat it.
this doesn't have the build up of that. So
Yeah.
What Spider-Man, whatever was it? Which one was that thing called? The
Way
big
Home.
one. No Way Home, not Far From
No
Home.
Way Home.
No Way Home. I'll look it up. No Way.
We did it on the show.
we did it on the show. Yeah,
That's what I'm going to look up our podcast to see what I said the box office was. Yeah. Over 1.9 billion. So I would think it would make that money at least. I think
it
would.
is kind of incredible that James Cameron is playing with stuff that's original that he created.
Yeah.
That's still in 2026 and 2025 making that level of money.
Yeah. Good for him.
I'm just saying that's so. He's like the
Unusual.
exception to the entire.
Yeah.
2025 was, as far as box office was concerned, was a disappointing thing
Mhm.
in all respects. So it's just like then James Cameron, he's like this
Yeah.
exception to
And
everything.
he kind of says even the studios are kind of lukewarm about making sequels to it. They're like, maybe.
I think they said 4 is going to happen, but
Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't it? I mean, they're just like raking in the box. Like there's no
If
reason.
everybody's game for it who's involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, why stop? I mean,
the only reason I would
money.
say is please James make something else. But
yeah, I think
I know.
he's
Please.
done with that. I think he's done. I don't know. I think
I did
Avatar's
see an
like-
interview where he said he wanted to do something before he dies that wasn't this. So he
Well,
does
that's
want to.
good.
Yeah, that'd be nice to get a James
He's
Cameron.
going to do the next Jurassic Park or something.
Oh,
Or
God.
some weird thing.
God, Jesus.
Fast and the Furious 11.
Honestly, let him. Whatever. Let him. Who cares? We're in the end
Yeah.
game now. Nothing matters.
We are. We really are.
All right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's enough. All right. See everybody later. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
See you later.
Hey, this is Bob Rose, and thank you for listening to Writers Blockbusters. If you'd like to financially support the show, please consider joining my Patreon. I've been producing the podcast for several years completely out of pocket, and I'd like to keep producing it ad-free and no longer at a loss. If you'd like to help, head on over to patreon.com/Bob Rose Sucks. That's right, Bob Rose Sucks. And if you want the one and only Jimmy George to help polish up that writing project you're kind of struggling with, head on over to scriptbutcher.com. As a listener, you already know he's the best there is, scriptbutcher.com. You can also support the show by simply sharing it or leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We appreciate both. Thank you for listening and see you next episode.